The second item that you will absolutely need to both make and mix EDM is a DAW, or a digital audio workstation. You've probably already got one, but let's just run through the options available and dispel some of the myths. Number 1, all of the DAWs available nowadays are good enough to make the best dance music you will ever hear in the world. Now 10-15 years ago that might not have been the case, but due to the advances in technology and the speed of computers, all of the DAWs that you hear about are up to the task. So it really just comes down to what you prefer working with. Now I've used a few DAWs in my time, and currently I use Ableton Live, and with the ones that I've used and know well, I'll go through the pros and cons. So you've got Ableton Live. I chose that because I was DJing a lot at the time, and it's great for doing live performances. Before that, I used Reason by Propellerhead for about 10 years, and I knew that baby inside out. And I love Reason because it looks like a real studio. You can flip the rack round and you can patch in all the cables to the different synthesizers and effects units. So if you are just starting in music production, it can be a great way to actually learn about signal flow and what synthesizers are and what they look like and their different controls. Now, I met a guy called James Wiltshire from the Freemasons at a music production conference once, and he's worked with Shakira and Beyonce and many world-class artists. And he said to me, "Will, you'll have to move out of Reason at some point," and the reason was it didn't support third-party plugins. So you could only use the stock plugins that came with Reason. I know that's not the case now, so if you do get Reason, you can actually buy third-party plugins for it as well. I also used Logic Pro for a few years. Personally, I didn't get on that well with it because it was pretty unstable, so it would crash now and again, which was very frustrating. And a few other bugs and glitches that I'm sure they would have ironed out by now, because this was Logic Pro 8 I was using, and now they're on Logic Pro 10. So I don't want to disparage it. A lot of producers absolutely swear by Logic, and it's a popular choice. Worth considering, Ableton Live runs on either Windows or Mac, whereas Logic Pro is Mac only. Which takes me to FL Studio, the popular choice for Windows machines. Now, I've never actually used FL Studio, so I can't give my opinion on it, only that a lot of producers use it, including Avicii and Martin Garrix, but it is Windows only, so if you've got a Mac, you'd have to run it through an emulator. Now, Pro Tools, again, I've never used it, but this is industry standard in high quality professional studios. So if you go to a studio to record anything or do a mix, chances are they'll be using Pro Tools. Now that's it in terms of what I've used, but some other choices that are completely valid are Cubase, Bitwig, Studio One, Reaper and Acid. And there are more, but these are the main ones. Now you'll remember from part 1 we spoke about the different stages of music production. So stage 1, music production, stage 2, the mixing, and stage 3, the mastering. What many producers often do, myself included, is do the music production stage in one DAW, say Ableton Live for instance, bounce down the stems, that is export each channel as an audio file, and then do the mix down in a different DAW, say Logic Pro for instance. Now this is because some DAWs like Pro Tools and Logic, their interfaces are a bit more geared up towards mixing. So it's just a matter of preference and workflow. If you haven't chosen a DAW yet, I recommend downloading the free trials of some of them and just see how it works for you. See how you get on with it. It's completely subjective. They can all make just as good music as each other. So to recap, things to think about when you are choosing a DAW. How are you going to use it? If you're planning to do live performances at some point in the future with your music, I recommend Ableton Live. Think about if you're going to be doing collaborations with other producers as well. You might already know people you want to work with. What DAWs do they use? You can work with other people if they have a different DAW from you, but it does make things simpler if you're running the same DAW. But really, I would say your main consideration should be simply what you enjoy working in.